I overheard my stepfather telling my mom that I had to leave. He said it with such disdain, like I was a problem to be solved. Last week, he forced me out of the house. I confronted my mom about why she allowed it, but she stayed quiet, avoiding my gaze. I left, hurt and confused. Yesterday, though, my stepfather pleaded with me not to reveal his secret to my mom. Now I'm living in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton's a decent place, not too thrilling but not terrible either, with enough to keep you occupied. My mom's house sits in a calm neighborhood, roughly a half-hour drive from Springfield, which plays a bigger role in this mess later. That house hasn't felt like home in ages. I've been itching to tell this story, so here it goes. My stepfather's real name is Greg, but I've always called him Stepdad Greg. It started as a jab because my mom wanted me to call him Dad when they got married, but I wasn't having it. The nickname stuck and he despised it, which only made me like it more. Greg entered our lives about 3 years after my real dad died suddenly from a heart attack. Mom was heartbroken and I couldn't fault her for wanting to move forward. But then Greg showed up and things spiraled. He moved in with his 16-year-old daughter, Chloe, and turned our home into his domain. Chloe got free reign, while I couldn't even grab a snack without his permission. This went on for nearly a year, a living nightmare. Stepdad Greg had rules for everything. No guests allowed. No sounds after 8 p.m., no locking my bedroom door. He acted like he owned the place, despite living off my mom's tech job salary. She earns well, but he somehow convinced her to buy into his vision of a perfect blended family, with him as the boss. I put up with it as long as I could. I went to a nearby college to get some distance, but came home on weekends when I could stomach it. Then, a week ago, everything changed. A class got canceled unexpectedly, so I headed home earlier than planned without telling anyone. I just wanted to crash and catch up on sleep. But when I walked through the front door, I heard low, intense voices. I froze in the hallway, not wanting to interrupt. It was Greg talking to my mom. He said I had to go plain and simple, like I was a burden dragging everyone down. Mom didn't respond at first. There was a long pause, then she murmured something I couldn't make out. Greg went on, saying he was fed up with me, that I was draining the house's energy. I could tell Mom wasn't fully on board, but she didn't defend me either. That was enough. I slipped out quietly, drove around for hours, grabbed some fast food and met a friend for drinks. I got back late and went straight to bed without a word. The next morning it all blew up. Greg stormed into my room and told me to pack my stuff. No discussion, no explanation. I asked Mom why she was letting him do this, but she just stood there, silent, avoiding my eyes. Chloe, his daughter, was at the kitchen table, smirking as I packed. She threw out a snide remark about me flunking college. I snapped back, telling her to shut it. Greg went ballistic, yelling, pointing at the door and threatening me. I packed in silence, and within an hour I was gone. I went straight to my dad's sister, Aunt Karen. She's always been my rock, especially after Dad passed. When I told her what happened, she was livid. I also shared something I hadn't told anyone else, the real reason Greg wanted me gone. A few weeks earlier, I'd spotted him at a gas station near Springfield with a woman who was definitely not my mom. She was younger, brunette, and they were holding hands, laughing. Greg saw me watching. He froze and I walked away without a word. But he knew I knew. That's why he wanted me out. I was a liability. Aunt Karen didn't hold back. She called my mom right there, told her she was foolish for letting a deadbeat push her son out, and hung up. I grabbed the phone before she could say more. I wasn't ready to escalate things yet. Greg had threatened me before, and I knew he'd do it again. Karen calmed down, then asked how often I thought he was seeing this woman. She told me to find out. So yesterday I did. After that call, I started piecing together everything that had changed since Greg moved in. It wasn't just the rules or his need to control everything. It was how he reshaped our entire lives. We stopped having family dinners because he preferred quiet evenings. Mom started dressing more modestly because he didn't like attention on her. Everything shifted, subtly but completely. And now he was cheating, acting like some moral pillar while betraying her. I needed proof. Aunt Karen didn't need much convincing. She looked me in the eye and said, "He'll keep doing this unless someone stops him." That's you, so I made a plan. I'd catch him in the act and make sure it stuck. Yesterday, I left at 8 a.m. and drove to Springfield. It's a quiet, working-class town, the kind of place where people go to lay low. I had a hunch I'd find him at the same spot I'd seen him before, a rundown motel on Oak Street. I parked across the street behind a cafe and waited. I had snacks, a charged phone, and music to keep me company. I felt like a cheap private eye, but I stayed focused. Around 3:15 p.m., he pulled up in Mom's blue SUV. That stung more than I expected. The same car she used to drive me to school or pick me up when I forgot something as a kid. Now he was using it to cheat. He parked like it was routine, wearing the same faded jacket he always did when he wanted to go unnoticed. Then, not even 5 minutes later, she showed up, the same brunette from before. Tight skirt, green top, all smiles, like this was a date she'd been looking forward to. Greg's face lit up when he saw her. He walked over, kissed her like they'd been apart forever, and they strolled into the motel, arm in arm, not caring who saw. I got it all, photos, video, everything. I stayed out of sight but close enough to capture every detail. I zoomed in as they laughed at the door, her hand on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. They went inside and didn't come out. I waited another hour just to be sure, but they stayed put. I was trembling when I got back to my car, not from fear, but from a mix of adrenaline and rage. Maybe even a sense of triumph. On the drive back to Dayton, I kept replaying that kiss, how casual it was for him, how he acted like Mom and I didn't exist. At Aunt Corinne's, I didn't go inside right away. I sat in the car, pulled up the clearest photo, Greg holding the woman's hand like they were some lovesick couple, and sent it to him with one line. "Guess who's watching?" he texted back instantly. "Jake, let's talk. Then please don't show her, I'm begging you. Then I'll make it right, anything you want." I didn't respond, I just blocked him. Inside, Aunt Corinne was sorting mail in the living room. She looked up and asked, "Well?" I showed her the photos. She studied them for a moment, nodded, and said, "We're going to your mom's tomorrow. This ends now." That brings us to today. We're heading to my mom's house, and everything's about to change. It was 10:05 a.m. when Aunt Corinne and I pulled into the driveway. She glanced at her watch and said, "Right on schedule. Let's go wreck a liar's life." Her tone was matter-of-fact, like she was heading into a routine meeting, not confronting the man who'd upended my world. The house looked the same, faded beige siding, a bit worn in spots. Mom's lilac bush by the front window, perfectly trimmed. Nothing hinted at the chaos about to unfold inside. We didn't bother with the doorbell. Corinne walked in like she belonged there, which made sense. She used to visit all the time before Greg made it uncomfortable. She strode into the living room, a folder tucked under her arm like she was about to present a case. I followed close behind. Greg was sprawled in his recliner, watching a car repair show, still in that ratty jacket and sweatpants, sipping coffee like everything was fine. He saw us and froze, his brain clearly struggling to catch up. Mom was in the kitchen, slicing vegetables. Chloe was upstairs. I could hear faint pop music through her door. Greg stood up, sensing trouble. He glanced at me, then at Corinne, but stayed quiet. Mom came into the living room, wiping her hands on a dish towel, dressed in her usual weekend sweats, barefoot, expecting a normal day. She asked what was happening. Corinne handed her the folder without a word, no preamble, no explanation. Mom opened it slowly, her hands unsteady. She looked at the first photo, Greg and the brunette holding hands outside the motel. Her face stayed blank. Then the second photo, him kissing her. Then the third, them walking into the motel like it was nothing. She looked at Greg. He started talking immediately. "I can explain." She didn't respond. He kept going. "It's not what you think. She's just a friend. We were just talking, that's all. I didn't want to worry you, so I kept it quiet. Jake's blowing this out of proportion, trying to tear us apart." Corinne rolled her eyes. Mom still didn't say anything. Then Chloe appeared at the top of the stairs, probably drawn by the voices. She was holding her phone and a soda can. She saw the folder and chimed in, "What's this now? Is Jake making stuff up again?" Greg snapped his fingers at her, telling her to go back upstairs. She didn't budge. Mom looked at him and asked, "How long?" Her voice was steady but sharp. He stumbled over his words. "Just a few weeks, maybe a month. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We were just talking and—" Corinne cut him off. "You were just talking when Jake caught you kissing her at a motel in Springfield." Chloe jumped in, defending him. "So what? He messed up once and you're all acting like he's evil. You're all insane." That's when Greg lost it completely. He pointed at me, shouting, "You think you're tough now? You think you've got it all figured out? You don't know anything about life or responsibility." I stayed silent, watching him fall apart. Then Mom spoke, her voice calm but icy. "I want you both out of my house." Chloe's soda can hit the floor. Greg laughed like it was a joke. "You're not serious." "Dead serious," she said. "You and your daughter out today," Chloe exploded. "You can't kick us out. This is our home too." Mom didn't waver. "It's mine." Greg switched to desperation mode. You're going to throw away everything we've built. We've made progress here. You're going to ruin it all over a few photos. That kid's hated me from day one." Mom didn't blink. She said she'd file for divorce, and he had until the end of the day to leave. She'd ignored too much for too long, and she was done. Chloe stormed upstairs, sobbing, and slammed her door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. Greg looked at me, his eyes wild, like he might come at me. But then he just collapsed back into the recliner, defeated. Karen stepped outside to call her lawyer friend. Mom went back to the kitchen like she'd just handled a minor chore. It wasn't over yet, but for the first time in nearly a year, I felt like it might be soon. Update, 10 days later. Hey, it's Jake again. It's been 10 days since everything went down, and it feels like a different life now. 3 days after Greg and Chloe were told to leave, he showed up again in a beat-up truck with some friend driving. They parked out front like they thought Mom might welcome them back. She didn't even open the door. She'd already packed their stuff, boxes labeled, sealed, and stacked in the garage. She'd installed cameras the day after they left, not taking any risks. They didn't knock. They just loaded their things, clothes, Chloe's makeup, her oversized gaming chair, and were gone in under an hour. Greg lingered on the lawn like he expected Mom to come out, apologize, and beg him to stay. That didn't happen. Instead, she sent him $50 via Venmo and blocked him right after. She labeled it tip. I asked why, and she said, "I'm not cruel, just finished." And she was. That night, she shut down every account he had access to, credit cards, utilities, everything. Turns out she'd been quietly untangling her finances from him for weeks, like she sensed this was coming. The divorce, filed the next day, her lawyer moved fast. Since Greg brought nothing to the marriage, no job, no property, it was straightforward. He tried to delay, saying they could fix things, but it was too late. Mom was done emotionally long before. It was finalized quickly. He left with nothing, no car, no house, no money. Chloe didn't even reach out to Mom. Guess she realized the free ride was over. I'm back home now. My room feels like mine again. I can breathe without feeling like an intruder. The house is quieter, lighter, like a weight's been lifted. Mom's different too, calmer, more present, like she's finally seeing her life clearly, not trying to force it into something it's not. We've been cooking again, simple stuff, like breakfast without tension or late-night tea without someone calling it pointless. Aunt Karen's been over almost every day, bringing food, watching movies, just being there. I've never seen her so fiercely protective. Last night, we ordered takeout from the same spot we used to go to before Greg showed up. Fried rice, sesame chicken, spring rolls. We ate in the living room, plates on our laps, some old movie playing in the background. It felt normal. It felt like home. Thanks to everyone who's followed this. We're okay now, better than okay. We're finally free. If you connected with this story and felt its weight, please give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe for more real-life stories and raw experiences. Your support means everything, and it helps us share more stories like this. Thanks for reading, and I'll catch you in the next one.